Hi folks, it's Switchback. I see a lot of people, primarily women, posting online or talking in person who are afraid to go solo, whether it's hiking, backpacking, camping, or otherwise adventuring outdoors. And it doesn't have to be that way. So I wanted to share how I got comfortable with being solo outside and 10 reasons that I love solo backpacking as much as I do. Before I go into my story, I do want to acknowledge that I have a lot of privilege that not everybody else has. Not everybody gets to grow up in the outdoors like I did. Not everybody has parents that are into the outdoors. And so I do want to put that caveat out there. Again, this is all my story. This is not a how you need to get comfortable outside. This is how I did. I was fortunate enough to grow up in the redwoods where I was playing in the woods with my friends as a kid. When I was little, my aunt and uncle had a property on the river, and my cousin, who was a little bit younger than me, she and I would sleep in a tent, just the two of us. My parents took us hiking and camping a lot and sometimes backpacking. My parents led an explorer post related to Boy Scouts because my dad was an Eagle Scout, and this was from before I was even born. My mom figured out she was pregnant with me on one of their trips, that kind of thing. So I grew up around a lot of hiker trash, a term I'm using very affectionately. My brother and I also did scouts, and I did campfire. I also did a couple of years of jujitsu and a little bit of self-defense training. As I got older, I would get outside with friends, boyfriends at the time, and even on my own sometimes. Once I moved out on my own, being able to camp solo meant that I could travel with my very limited budget, at least, around California. In my 30s, I started working at REI, which is where I found my love of trail running, which is something that has been almost an exclusively solo endeavor for me. And it was the one thing that was exclusively for me when I was still in my abusive marriage. After ending that marriage, I did my first solo backpacking trip. That trip fueled me for years to come, and it empowered me in a way I so desperately needed at the time. Part of why I wanted to make this video was to share that feeling with you and hopefully help you find it for yourself. That being said, I would encourage anyone who is looking to venture into going out solo to do their research, educate yourself, and ease your way in. Start with a shorter trip that's closer to home, that's ideally somewhere you've been before, something with cell phone reception, and make sure that someone always knows where you are. I have lots of videos to help you get started, and so if you haven't already subscribed, be sure that you do and give this video a like. Over the years that I've spent outside, I have learned a lot about how to be safe outside and how to behave outside, and I definitely am continuing to learn. But some of the things that have helped me with my comfort level outside are going first with people that I trust, educating myself about the outdoors, educating myself through martial arts and self-defense courses and even NRA certification, though I do not carry on the trail, enjoying time by myself in general, and learning a lot about the outdoors through trial and error. These have all helped me with my backpacking solo and with trying new things. I've had injuries on the trail. I have had animal encounters. I have run out of water, and I'm still here to share it with you. So while hiking and backpacking with friends is definitely fun, its own brand of fun, there are certain things that you can really only get when you go solo, and these are 10 of them. It is super empowering to be so completely self-reliant and get through a trip safely. I know what to do if I see a bear or if I see a bobcat. I know when to cross water and when not to. I know how to start a fire on my own. I can do a field repair of my gear. I don't have to consider anyone else when I'm choosing where I want to go. I get to choose it based solely on my own criteria. I don't have to worry about what someone else might enjoy or find interesting. And sometimes the trip isn't even about where I'm going, but just more the act of going by itself. I get to choose how far I go each day, when I'm going to eat, when I'm going to sleep, when it's time to stop, where I'm going to set up my camp, whether or not I'm going to build a fire if they're allowed at the time. It is significantly easier to get a permit for one person than it is for a group of 4 or even for 2. And very popular places often have quotas, and once those are met, you have to go somewhere else. So this simply makes trip planning easier and requires less planning ahead. Aside from any restrictions in my permit or needing to make it home at a certain time, I don't have to think about anyone else if I need to completely pivot course, if I have to do a completely different trip, if I decide I'm going to shorten my trip or go extend something or go do an additional traditional hike. As someone who has spent most of her life putting the needs of others ahead of my own, something I absolutely do not recommend, but also as someone who spends her professional life as an ER nurse caring for other people, it's really nice to get to do something that is 100% about what I want. In general, in some ways, it's actually a little bit safer, in my opinion, to go solo because a solo backpacker is less likely to take risks that they might take if there are other people there as a safety measure. And I also get to see, if I want to, more wildlife. If I want to be loud and, keep wildlife away, I can do that. But I'm much more likely, in theory, to see a bobcat or a bear or deer or birds or whatever kind of wildlife because I'm not talking and scaring away the wildlife. The only caveat to that is the only times I've ever seen a bear have been with mountain goat. And so unless I have my bear magnet with me, so far I have not seen a bear. I don't have to worry about helping anyone else or any mistakes that they might make. That also means that I am 100% responsible for any mistakes that I make. If a bear gets my food, that is 100% on me. If I forget something, it is 100% on me to adapt and overcome, and I have forgotten things plenty of times. I don't have to worry about if someone else forgot something or if they forgot that there was food in their pocket and their gear and a rodent broke into their tent and damaged their gear. I have absolutely no problem taking out newbies on the trail who don't know what they're doing, as long as that's the expectation for the trip. And that's fun to do. It's fun to take new people out and let them see their first experience. And we all make mistakes, even experienced backpackers. And God knows I make plenty of my own. I continue to do so. But that falls 100% on me. And no one else has to deal with the fallout of my mistakes. I also snore, and no one else has to hear it when I'm by myself. I also don't feel the pressure to go as fast as someone else. Aside from the slow pace that it requires in order to video a trip, I also like to take pictures and videos of wildflowers and really cool things that I see out in nature. Although at this point, if I'm with people and it's slowing them down, I'll tell them just go on ahead and I will catch up to you. It's not a problem to me, and if it's a problem to them, they don't have to hike with me. I am forced to do what I need to do in order to feel safe outside. I have a healthy respect for nature and my place in it. I've never had any problems with people on the trail, but I also pay attention to my intuition. I do not share information with anyone that does not feel totally safe to me. I have researched and practiced in real life what to do if I see wildlife. I know how to prevent issues with wildlife getting into my stuff. I practice with any new gear at home or car camping before taking it out on the trail. I take my Garmin inReach and I update my wife when I start and finish for the day and if there is any change in plan. I keep that inReach on me every time I'm out of the tent, even when I go poop. I think that there is a natural fear of anything that is unfamiliar, and if being solo is new to you, of course you're going to be scared and have some fear. But if we never did anything that we were afraid of, we would never live life. We would never meet anyone new, and we would stagnate as a person. In this video, I discussed lots of common fears and several ways to help you overcome them. I hope that you've gotten value, and if you have, like, subscribe, and I will look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.